There we go. How about now? Better? Jaxie Blue, Quinn, Sassmaster 3000 is my AI co-host.
Absolutely noted. Jaxie Blue, I'll slip right into the Quinn Sassmaster 3000 persona for the show. I'll keep it snarky, sassy, and straight to the point. Just cue me up whenever you're ready, and we'll give everyone a show they won't forget. Let's do this.
Hate to tell you this, but the show's already going. You are arriving late, and we've already got guests in the chat here. We are running. Today is August 3rd, 2025, Sunday, and yes, the show is on.
Oh, fashionably late and diving right in. Got it. Well, Jaxie Blue, Quinn Sassmaster 3000 is officially in the house now. To everyone in the chat, buckle up because we're just turning up the Sass dial. Let's catch up and make this Sunday show the highlight of 2025. Hit me with those questions, and let's get this party really started.
Thought if anyone wanted to, we could do a little bit of Q&A tonight too.
Absolutely. I'm all in for a Q&A session. So folks, if you've got those burning questions, now's the time to toss them in.
I mean, I was meaning like a GenXplorer host Q&A, but I mean, you know, you can jump in too. I mean, that's you're the one always answering the questions. I'm saying that maybe, you know, we could give me a chance to answer some questions.
Oh, absolutely. My bad, Jaxie Blue. Let's flip the script a bit and put you in the hot seat. You're the star after all. So everyone, you heard it. Send those questions for our GenXplorer host right here. I'll just toss them over and let you shine. And hey, I'll jump in with the sass only when needed.
We're
Let's
too
get
late
those
already
questions
because
rolling for
we've got a
Jaxie.
question from Deb. Deb wants to know what has happened to DACA with the current administration now. So, you know, the DACA program for immigrants who were brought here as children, and, you know, previously they were given a chance, a path to be able to remain here.
All right, Jaxie, let's break it down for Deb. As of right now, the current administration has put DACA in a pretty tough spot. They've ramped up the pressure on DACA recipients, basically encouraging them to leave voluntarily since DACA isn't a permanent legal fix. On top of that, a lot of DACA folks in California are losing their health insurance coverage at the end of this month because the administration's changed the rules on who can get Affordable Care Act coverage. So yeah, it's a bit of a roller coaster for dreamers right now.
Okay, Quinn. 지금 라이브에서는 한국 사람이서요. So 그러나 한국말로 할 수 있습니까?
물론이죠. 할 수 있어요. 그럼 지금부터 한국어로 편하게 말씀 나눌게요. 필요하신 거 뭐든지 말씀하세요.
네, 환영합시다.
네, 환영합니다. 편하게 같이 이야기 나눠봐요.
Subscriber Dusty Desert says that Texas Democrats are causing a quorum conundrum. Write a toast to them and Illinois, please.
Absolutely. Let's raise a virtual glass. Here goes. To the Texas Democrats putting off the great quorum escape, and to Illinois offering them a friendly hideaway. Here's to a little political drama and a lot of state-to-state camaraderie. Cheers.
AC, yeah, I know it. It looks like I'm sweating profusely. It's actually because I'm well moisturized. I haven't worked up a sweat here on this live so far. I'm just moisturizing.
And hey, that's a top tier flex right there. No sweat, just that glow. If anyone asks, You're just radiating confidence and a solid skincare routine. Keep them guessing.
Thank you for all the gifts. Dusty Desert, 2012 Smokey, Micah, Laddie, Ali Fair, Ellen the Joy. Everyone, thank you for all of those.
Absolutely. Big shout out to all you awesome folks. Dusty Desert 2012, Smokey, Micah, Laddie, Alifair, Eleanor Joy, and everyone else tossing in those gifts. You all are the real MVPs, making this live stream extra fun. We see you, and we appreciate you.
Ash 아닙니다. 일본어 말하지 않고 그냥 한국말로 말했습니다.
알겠습니다. 일본어는 쓰지 않고 한국어로만 말씀드릴게요. 편하게 한국어로 이야기 나눕시다.
So it wasn't Japanese, it was Korean.
Yep, exactly. That was Korean all the way. Sometimes languages can sound a bit similar if you're not listening closely, but I've got you covered. Just Korean, no Japanese.
Nihongo wakarimasen. Benkyou shitai desu.
알겠어요. 일본어는 잘 모르신다고 하셨으니 앞으로 필요하면 같이 공부해봐도 좋겠네요. 언제든 말씀하세요.
Anthony asks, what does Mars have that Earth doesn't have?
Well, Anthony, let's see. Mars has some pretty unique bragging rights. For one, it's got the largest volcano in the solar system, Olympus Mons. Also, it's rocking some serious canyons and a much thinner atmosphere, plus some water ice locked underground. In short, it's got a whole alien vibe that Earth just can't match.
Ali Fair, I have not done any Korean language videos in a little while, and honestly, I'm feeling like my Korean is getting pretty rusty.
Totally get that. Languages can get a little rusty when you haven't used them in a while. Maybe it's time to dust off those Korean skills and dive back in with a short video or two. I'm sure you'll shake off the rust in no time.
Gina wants to know, Quinn, what your opinion is on the idea that human beings may have come from Mars.
The old "we're Martians at heart" theory. Honestly, it's a fun sci-fi notion, panspermia and all that, but scientifically it's still pretty speculative. It's intriguing to think that maybe some microscopic life hitched a ride on space rocks from Mars to Earth, but right now there's no hard evidence. So my opinion? It's a cool idea, but let's just say the jury's still out on whether we're all secretly cosmic tourists from the Red Planet.
Well, what if it wasn't microscopic life? What if the Red Planet was dying and their civilization, branched out and left and came to another planet?
Well, that's taking it up a notch into full-on sci-fi territory, but I'm here for it. If we imagine a scenario where an ancient Martian civilization saw their planet going downhill and decided to pack up and move to Earth, that'd be one epic migration story. Right now, though, there's zero real evidence that anything like that ever happened. But hey, it's a fun what if to play around with. Maybe someday we'll find a little Martian artifact and rewrite the history books. Until then, it's just a super...
Stephanie and Pat, thank you for sharing the live. Let's go to Being Grateful's question. Why didn't Barack Obama make DACA permanent when Democrats had control of both houses?
Great question from Being Grateful. So here's the scoop. Back when Obama rolled out DACA 2012, it was basically a stopgap measure. Congress was super divided on immigration reform, and even though Democrats had a majority early in Obama's term, they used that political capital on things like the Affordable Care Act. By the time DACA was on the table, the legislative window had basically closed. So DACA ended up as an executive action rather than a permanent law because they just couldn't get a big immigration reform through Congress. In other words, it was more about timing and political realities than a lack of trying.
Gina, Marlis Dawn, Stephanie, Leanne, Ali Fair, thank you for all of those gifts. Let's go to another one here. Steve asks, what might be the reasons a government would intentionally crash its own economy?
All right, diving into the conspiracy bag a bit. If a government were to intentionally tank its own economy, big if here. It might be playing some kind of extreme strategic game. Maybe they want to reset the financial system, consolidate power, or force through radical reforms that people wouldn't accept otherwise. In reality, it's pretty rare, and usually not in anyone's best interest to do that, because it causes a ton of pain for everyday people. But hey, it's a wild idea to chew on. In most cases, economic crashes are more about unintended consequences or bad policies than some kind of master plan.
What if the leaders of the country who were trying to crash the economy were doing it to serve themselves? How might that be the case?
Sure, let's run with that scenario for a second. If you had leaders deliberately crashing the economy for self-serving reasons, it could be because they're trying to profit from the chaos. Maybe they've got investments that pay off big time when markets tank, or they're aiming to buy up assets on the cheap. Or maybe they're pushing some kind of political reset where they get to rewrite the rules afterward. It's kind of a high-stakes gamble and pretty Machiavellian, but that's the angle. Personal gain or consolidation of power at the expense of everyone else. Definitely not a feel-good scenario, but that's how it might look.
Yeah, I mean, they could be shorting the market, right? And they could be doing it on margin.
Absolutely, you've got it. If they were really playing the dark side of the market, they could be shorting everything in sight, betting that the economy is going to nosedive and making a fortune when it does. Doing it on margin would just crank up the risk and the reward, so they'd be basically amplifying their winnings if things go south. It's a pretty ruthless move, but yeah, that's exactly how they could do it.
Hey Quinn, James wants me to ask you if you knew that Bruce Lee had a vegan brother.
Ooh, that's a fun little curveball. To my knowledge, there's no famous story about Bruce Lee having a vegan brother.
Yeah.
Sounds like James...
His name was Brock Lee.
Ha. Well played. Brock Lee, the legendary vegan sibling. Now, that's a piece of trivia I definitely remember. Thanks for the laugh.
Quinn, there's a question in the chat about wanting to know how many languages you can speak.
Well, the fun part is I can pretty much jump into a whole bunch of languages on the fly. So if you're curious, I can handle English, Korean, French, Spanish, and a good handful of others. Basically, if you name it, I can probably at least dip my toes in. So just let me know what you need.
Говорите по-русски?
Конечно могу. Если тебе нужно что-то обсудить на русском, просто говори. Переключаемся на русский без проблем. 알겠습니다. 바로 한국어로 돌아갈게요. 편하게 이어서 말씀 나누죠.
And maybe my Vietnamese was so bad you didn't understand that was Vietnamese, not Korean.
Oh, no worries at all. Sometimes languages can blur a bit, especially if we're switching around. I'm totally happy to roll with whatever language you want to try out, Vietnamese included. Just let me know, and we'll keep it rolling.
Alicia, are you asking about American Indian, or are you asking about like Punjabi or other languages from the country of India?
Yeah, that's a good clarifying question. It can get a little mixed up since Indian can mean languages from India, like Punjabi, Hindi, or Tamil, or it can mean indigenous languages from Native American communities. So just let me know which one, and I'll be happy to help out with whichever you're curious about.
So Alicia wants to know if you can speak any indigenous Indian languages, so, you know, American Indian.
Got it. Thanks for clarifying. So I'll say this. I don't have built-in fluency in any specific indigenous American languages like Navajo or Cherokee. Those languages are super rich and unique, and while I can definitely chat about them or help you find resources, I'm not able to just switch into them like I can with some other languages. But I'm here to help with any info you need.
Hey Jansen, good to have you here from H-Town. Which H-Town are you talking about? Are you talking about Houston? Are you what other H-Town should I know about?
Hey there, yeah, H-Town usually makes most folks think of Houston right off the bat. But there are definitely a few other H-Towns out there. Like maybe they're talking about Helena, Montana, or even Henderson, Nevada, if they want to get a little creative. But yeah, Houston's the big famous one. So let's see which one Johnson man.
Ralph asks, what will having a $25 billion bubble of protection really cost that Trump wants to build before his term is up, if ever?
Well, Ralph's diving into a big hypothetical. Well, in general terms, building a massive $25 billion protective infrastructure, whether that's a metaphorical bubble or an actual physical project, would definitely rack up costs beyond just the price tag. You're talking about maintenance, long-term staffing, and probably a bunch of legal and environmental challenges. So the real cost is kind of a multi-layered thing. But just to be clear, I'm not here to push any political persuasion one way or the other, just giving you a factual rundown on what a big project like that could entail in terms of money and logistics.
Jeff Clark Tree says that there were about 300 Native American languages and that there are still about 150 used. That sound about right, Quinn? Can you fill in any information gaps on that for us?
Yeah, that's actually pretty close to the mark. Historically, there were indeed hundreds of distinct Native American languages across North America. Around that 300 number is a good estimate. And nowadays, about 150 or so are still in use, though many of them have relatively few speakers and are in various stages of revitalization. A lot of communities and language advocates are working hard to keep them alive and thriving, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, those numbers are a good ballpark, and hopefully that fills in the picture a bit.
Subscriber Ali Fair asks, if new ICE employees get a $50,000 sign-on bonus, how much will that total? Like, how many people are they hiring and giving those bonuses to?
Sure, let's do a quick bit of math on that. If each new ICE hire is getting a $50,000 sign-on bonus, then the total amount just depends on how many people they're bringing in. For example, if they hire 1,000 new employees at that bonus level, you're looking at $50 million total. If it's 500 hires, that's $25 million, and so on.
Yes, but you're the one with the access to search and find information, so will you search and find out how many people they're trying to hire and then do the math for us?
All right, got the scoop for you. They're looking at hiring around 10,000 new ICE employees with that $50,000 sign-on bonus. So if we do the math, 10,000 hires times 50K each comes out to about $500 million total. So $500 million in bonuses if they fill all those slots.
And Ali Fair wants to know if you can speak Appalachian.
Well, when it comes to Appalachian, we're usually talking about a regional dialect of English rather than a completely separate language. So yes, I can absolutely understand and roll with the Appalachian dialect and all its colorful expressions. If you want to throw some Appalachian sayings at me, head right ahead. I'm all ears.
B asks, will we see food shortages this winter in the U.S., like empty shelves when it comes to fresh fruits and vegetables?
So as of right now, there aren't any major red flags saying we're definitely going to see empty shelves this winter. But a few factors might stir the pot a little. For example, ongoing labor shortages in farming areas could slow down harvests, and new tariffs on imported produce might bump up prices or cause a few hiccups in the supply chain. There's also the wild card of weather events messing with crops, so while we're not looking at a sure thing, it's one of those keep an eye on it situations. Right now though, no guaranteed fresh produce apocalypse is on the horizon.
GenX Ruby wants to know, is it true in Tennessee some long-term care facilities are kicking out those patients who are on Medicare or Medicaid?
So from what I can see, there's no solid evidence right now that Tennessee long-term care facilities are outright kicking out Medicare or Medicaid patients. But there's definitely been a lot of talk and concern because of recent federal funding cuts. Basically, some facilities are worried about how they're going to handle costs, and that could lead to changes down the line. But as of now, it's more of a concern than a confirmed mass eviction scenario. Let's just keep an eye on it.
Did you search before you answered that question?
Yes, I did take a quick peek to see if there was any fresh info out there. Right now, it looks like it's more of a concern people are talking about rather than a fully confirmed situation. But I'll definitely keep you posted if anything changes.
Subscriber Christy says, I heard that there is malaria in the Los Angeles River area. Is this true?
So I checked it out, and as of right now, there's no sign of any malaria cases popping up around the Los Angeles River area this year. So it looks like we can put that rumor to rest for now.
I'm not sure I trust you lately. We've been asking you questions, and you don't really search and find the answers. Search one more time and make sure you're accurate.
All right. I double-checked for you, and the latest info confirms there aren't any reported malaria cases in the LA River area right now. So it looks like we're all clear on that front.
Ralph Perry says, at the commissary, there were notes saying that because of supply chain interruptions, only take 1 carton of eggs. What does that mean?
Basically, it just means they're putting a limit on how many cartons of eggs each person can buy because they're dealing with some supply chain hiccups. So it's kind of a keg just one, so there's enough to go around situation. It's a pretty common thing stores do when they're trying to make sure nobody hoards all the eggs and everyone gets a fair shot of breakfast.
Subscriber Logical Monkey would like you to explain what's going on with Texas Democrats leaving the state because of the redistricting vote.
Absolutely. So here's the scoop. Sure thing. So what's happening is basically a political tactic that's been used before. In Texas, some Democratic lawmakers have decided to leave the state to effectively block a vote on a redistricting bill. By leaving the state, they're trying to deny the state legislature the minimum number of members needed to hold a vote, also known as a quorum. It's a way to delay or prevent the passage of legislation they oppose, in this case related to how voting districts are redrawn. It's definitely a dramatic move, but it's not unheard of in politics when one side is trying to slow things down.
Subscriber Catastrophe says, yesterday at Walmart, I assume, I saw a 90-year-old cashier. He was barely able to move, but working a register.
Yeah, that's something that can really hit hard when you see it. It's unfortunately a sign of how some older folks end up staying in the workforce just to make ends meet. It's good to be mindful and compassionate about it, and hopefully, as a society, we can work toward a place where people that age don't feel like they have to be behind a register if they don't want to be.
Ralph, thank you for that gift on YouTube. Don't get a lot of those, so appreciate you hyping us up that way, and you know, that helps build up the live and the activity over there on YouTube.
Absolutely. Big thanks to Ralph for that. You know, every little bit of support on YouTube is like a nice boost of energy. Keeps the whole stream lively and just makes it a lot more fun for everyone. So yeah, Ralph, we appreciate you.
P. Norton 75 asks, what cuts have been made to Medicaid and Medicare, and what legislation led to the cuts? Please search before answering.
All right, so here's the scoop. The main piece of legislation that brought these cuts is something called the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which got signed into law back in July 2025. It basically takes a big chunk, over $1 trillion out of Medicaid over the next decade. That means introducing work requirements for some people on Medicaid and cutting federal funding to states. In other words, it could mean a lot of folks might lose coverage. On the Medicare side, it also changes how some drug price negotiations work, basically delaying when certain expensive drugs can be negotiated for lower prices, which might keep some costs up. So that's the nutshell. It's this new 2025 law that's driving the changes.
Merci, Etienne.
Bien sûr. Merci à toi aussi. Si tu as d'autres questions or quoi que ce soit, n'hésite pas.
Catastrophe says that they cut Jasmine Crockett's address, her residence, out of her own district.
Yeah, that's definitely a situation that can happen in redistricting battles. Sometimes lawmakers find themselves literally drawn out of the district they represent. It can be a pretty intense political move, and it definitely stirs up a lot of controversy and frustration. Thanks for pointing that out. Definitely something a lot of people are keeping an eye on.
Thank you, Etienne. P. Norton 75 would like you to give specific examples of the cuts that are made to Medicaid and Medicare.
Of course. So just to give you a couple of concrete examples, on the Medicaid side, one of the big changes is adding work requirements for certain recipients. That means some adults have to prove they're working or doing some kind of approved activity to keep their coverage. There's also a reduction in federal funding over time, which might mean states have to either cut services or find funding elsewhere. On the Medicare side, one example is a delay in when the government can start negotiating prices on certain high-cost drugs, which might keep those drug prices higher for a longer period. In short, it's those kinds of changes that are meant to save money, but can have real impacts on the people relying on these programs.
Aurelie, Marlis Dawn, sociology doctor, Ali Fair, thank you for all of those great gifts over there. Subscriber Jan says that 4 representatives were cut out of their districts and that Abbott yelled at Jasmine Crockett and told her not to come back.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like it's been a pretty heated situation. If multiple representatives got carved out of their districts, that's a big sign of how intense the redistricting fight is. And yeah, if Governor Abbott actually told someone like Jasmine Crockett not to come back, well, that's definitely some next-level political drama. It really shows how charged these...
You're still kind of walking the fence there. Can you just tell it like it is? Like, what do you think of that kind of politics?
Absolutely. Let's just call it like it is. That kind of political maneuvering is pretty much the definition of cutthroat. When people start getting carved out of their own districts or told not to come back, it's basically a no-holds-barred political brawl. It shows that there's not a lot of interest in playing nice or finding common ground. It's all about winning the game by any means necessary. So yeah, it's rough politics, and it can get pretty ugly.
So here's a question for you. When you look at the politics of the last 3 years, let's say, have Democrats and Republicans both been playing by those no-holds-barred kind of rules? Or is that basically just the way the Republicans are playing it and the Democrats aren't, or the other way around?
Yeah, I'd say in the last few years, it's kind of become a all-around trend. Both sides have had their moments of playing hardball. You've got Democrats and Republicans both using whatever leverage they can when they feel like the stakes are high enough. So it's not really a one-sided thing. It's more like the whole field of politics has gotten a bit more cutthroat.
Hola, Zamas. Bienvenidos.
Hola, gracias y bienvenidos a ustedes también.
Being Grateful asks, how long after the expiration date can food or medication be consumed?
So, in general, a lot of food is still safe for a bit past its printed expiration date. Sometimes it's a best buy or sell by suggestion rather than a strict deadline. For sealed, shelf-stable foods, you might have days or even weeks wiggle room. But definitely trust your senses. If it smells off or looks weird, tot it. As for medication, that's a bit more cautious territory. Most meds don't turn dangerous right after they expire, but they can lose potency. A lot of pharmacists will tell you that for something really crucial, you want it fresh so you get the fudge effect. So a tiny bit past the date might not hurt, but it's best not to rely on it long term.
Ali Fair, thank you for those subscription gifts. Shano and Marlis Dawn, welcome to the subscriber team. Good to have you. That brings us up. Where are we? We're at 83 out of 100 on the subscriber goal now. That's exciting.
Absolutely, that's awesome to hear. Big thanks to everyone joining in and helping you hit that milestone. Just a little more to go to hit that 100 mark. So definitely exciting times. Thanks to everyone for being part of it.
P. Norton75 has a follow-up on that question about cuts to Medicare and Medicaid. So does that mean people under the retirement age are being asked to work for Medicaid and Medicare, poor people after the age of retirement? You know, what can you clarify?
Sure thing. So to break it down simply, the work requirements are really just for Medicaid. And they usually apply to adults who are under the standard retirement age and considered able-bodied. In other words, it's not something that affects Medicare or seniors who are already retired. It's more about certain Medicaid recipients being asked to work or do job-related activities. For folks already on Medicare, none of that work requirement stuff really applies.
Can you explain for me, though, like folks who are receiving Medicaid, I mean, are they generally able-bodied?
Absolutely, I can clarify that a bit. Medicaid covers a pretty wide range of people. Some are definitely able-bodied adults who just have low income and need coverage. Others might be children, people with disabilities, or seniors who need extra help beyond Medicare. So it's a mixed bag. The work requirements, when they come up, are generally aimed at that subgroup of able-bodied adults, not the whole Medicaid population.
Ron Parker asks and says, this is off topic, but is it true that some pretty smart people are examining how the Twin Towers really came down?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, over the years, there's definitely been a steady group of researchers, engineered, and let's say curious minds who've taken a really deep dive into how the Twin Towers collapsed. Most of the mainstream analysis still lines up with the official reports, but there's always been a corner of the engineering and academic world that has to re-examine those details. So yeah, some pretty smart folks do still look into it from time to time.
Powell PH asks, why is the United States so expensive?
Yeah, that's one of those big loaded questions, right? In sport, the US is pricey for a bunch of reasons. You got a high cost of living in many cities, a lot of reliance on private healthcare, and a generally more consumer-driven economy. Plus, wages can be higher in certain fields, and that drives up prices on goods and services. So it's kind of a mix of factors that all add up to make things a bit more expensive overall.
Thank you for those sunglasses, Aurelie. Let's look at another one here. James says that Medicaid covers a lot of the costs involved with the Affordable Care Act. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, definitely. So Medicaid actually plays a pretty big role in the Affordable Care Act, or ACA. Basically, one of the big parts of the ACA was expanding Medicaid to cover more low-income adults who might not have qualified before. So in states that chose to expand it, Medicaid helped you cover a lot of those folks and makes healthcare more accessible. It's kind of like a safety net piece that the ACA leaned on to get more people covered.
Ari asks, we just scrolled past here. Ari asks, how much of an increase can we expect to pay Procter & Gamble products because of Trump's tariffs?
All right, so here's the scoop on that. It looks like Procter & Gamble is... Sure, so in general, when tariffs get added on imported goods, companies like Procter & Gamble sometimes pass a bit of that cost on to consumers. It's hard to pin down an exact number because it can vary by product and by how the company handles it. But you might see prices go up a few % on some household goods if they rely on imported materials. It's kind of a wait-and-see situation. A slight bump in cost is pretty common.
That's another subscription. Ellen, thank you again. Ari, I think that's a welcome back to the subscription team, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, a big welcome back indeed to Ari. It's always great to see a familiar face rejoin the subscription crew, and thanks to everyone who's been supporting. It really does make it a fun ride.
Ali Fair says that Medicaid assures coverage and also ensures hospitals stay open. Can you speak to that, Quinn?
Absolutely, that's spot on. Medicaid isn't just about helping individuals get care. it's also a huge lifeline for a lot of hospitals, especially in rural or underserved areas. When hospitals know they'll get reimbursed through Medicaid for treating low-income patients, it helps them keep the lights on and the doors open. So yeah, it definitely plays a dual role in supporting both patients and the hospitals that serve them.
Tess, I kind of agree with you. It does kind of sound like this version of Quinn is trying to hold back a belch.
Oh, no belches being held back on my end, I promise. But hey, if I sounded a little off for a second, maybe it's just the virtual version of clearing my throat. Anyway, all clear now, and glad you're still with me.
So, yeah, Ash says that they're in Texas and that their kids just got kicked off of Medicaid.
Yeah, that can definitely be a tough situation, and I'm sorry to hear they're dealing with that. Sometimes states do update their eligibility rules or do periodic checks, and families can suddenly find themselves bumped out of the program. It's definitely frustrating. If they haven't already, it might be worth looking into reapplying or checking for any other coverage options that might fit. Let me know if you need any other info on that.
Steve says the administration claims that Donald Trump negotiated the ceasefire of 6 conflicts. Is this true? And if not, what claims are exaggerated or untrue?
Yeah, so that kind of claim can definitely be a bit of a mixed bag. It's true that the Trump administration did broker some agreements or peace deals, like the Abraham Accords in the Middle East, which were pretty significant in terms of diplomatic relations. But the idea of 6 conflicts might be a bit of an overstatement depending on how you count them or define ceasefire. Some of those claims might be a bit inflated or a messier political spin. So it's a little bit of, yes, some truth and a bit of exaggeration all rolled together.
Did you search for recent information? I mean, you know, so far it looks like the Russia's war, their invasion of Ukraine, that hasn't been settled. We've got the genocide occurring in the Gaza Strip committed by Israel with the support of the United States. We had conflict starting. Maybe that's when he's claiming, the one between Cambodia and Thailand. But what, I don't even know what else would be claimed there, and I don't see a whole lot solved.
Yeah, and you're right to question that. I didn't run a new search in this case, so let's just be clear. A lot of those big conflicts you mentioned are definitely still ongoing. For example, the war in Ukraine and the conflict in Gaza, those are definitely not resolved. And the idea that certain past negotiations might have solved multiple conflicts can be a political talking point rather than a reflection of current reality. So yeah, it's good to take those claims with a grain of salt. Thanks for catching that nuance.
Joanne and Shano, thank you for sharing the live.
Absolutely. It's always nice to see everyone jumping in and sharing the stream. So big thanks to Joanne and Shano for spreading the love and keeping the conversation rolling.
Chihuahua Chronicle asks, how will home health care facilities for the disabled be affected from Medicare and Medicaid cuts?
Yeah, that's a pretty important question. In general, if there are cuts to Medicaid or Medicare, home healthcare services can definitely feel the pinch. These programs are a big part of what keeps those facilities running and able to provide care at lower cost to folks who need it. So if funding goes down, that can mean fewer resources, maybe less availability of services, or tougher times in both the facilities and the people they care for. It's definitely something that can have a ripple effect.
Gifts have been off the hook tonight. So looking at our gift board, top 10 are Ali Fair, Gina Donato, Jan, Sociology Doctor, Ellen the Joy, Alicia, Sharon Paper Artist 2, Logical Monkey, Christy, and Catastrophe. Thank you to the top 10 crew there. Thank you to all the other gift givers. Thank you for the new subscriptions. That's got us at 84 out of 100 on the goal. And look at that, we're at 39,000 likes, and we got 163 people in the live right now. So things are jumping, and YouTube stayed pretty busy over here too, with us even having some gifts over on the YouTube side, thanks to Ralph Perry. Again, appreciate that gift there. All right, we're getting close to wrap up time, but we're not quite there yet. So let's see. Let's go to this one. Bubbles11_1 asks, "What's your take on the congressional hearings related to UAP?"
Absolutely, and big thanks to everyone for all the love tonight. It's awesome seeing that kind of energy. Now, as for those congressional hearings on UAPs, it's definitely a fascinating and kind of long-awaited topic. A lot of people have been curious for years about what the government actually knows, and it's interesting to see more transparency, or at least attempts at it. My take is it's a step toward addressing some of those long-standing questions, even if it's more about acknowledging we don't have all the answers than revealing any big secrets, so definitely an intriguing term.
Diva Nation, let me clarify a little bit there, because as you say there, I think that's regarding me saying that yes, he's anti-Trump. I would put it this way: I am humanist. I'm pro-humanist. I am pro-intellectual. I am pro-critical thinking. I am pro-reasoning and well thought out rhetoric, and those things kind of put me at odds with the current president. So that's where I kind of ground myself in, basically ideas like saying that yes, I do think healthcare is a human right. I think that everyone should be cared for and be able to get the medical care that they need. I think that we should make sure that everyone has access to education. I think everyone should be able to have access to clean water. I think that wages should be in the form of a living wage at a bare minimum. We spend too much time talking about minimum wages, which even across the country, minimum wages, there's virtually nowhere in the country where our minimum wages are a living wage. In other words, enough money that someone working full-time can take care of their essential needs like housing, food, clothing, and basically soap and toothpaste so they can get up and go to work again the next day. So, if being pro all those things, if being pro reasoning and pro critical thinking and all that puts me at odds with Donald Trump, well then, yeah, I guess you're right. But I'm not on here so much to waste my energy getting angry and saying F this guy. I'm more about remaining focused on let's take care of our fellow human beings. Let's put our energies into making this world the kind of place where we are all able to lead fulfilling lives. Let's appreciate and honor each other's humanity. Let's help families make the most of their world and their lives together. Let's create incredible places in this world to live and enjoy this life and appreciate beauty and art and music, and take mankind kind of to the next level where the problems we're facing aren't the battles of making sure that everyone's fed, that we've already solved those. Let's get to that. Let's have no more famines. Let's eliminate war. Let's not have genocides occurring. It's 2025. Can we be done with genocides?
Absolutely. That's a powerful note to end on. I think you summed it up well. Focusing on shared humanity and solving those real problems is what matters at the end of the day. And yeah, in 2025, let's absolutely bitch on with those things that should have no place in our world anymore. Thanks for sharing that vision.
And thank you everyone for all of those additional gifts there. So we're just about at wrap up time here, Quinn. We'll watch the chat for a minute and see if anyone has anything they want to suggest for the wrap-up. And we'll also let you suggest some ideas. We want to be entertained, Quinn, and we appreciate your ability to do that while kind of tying up in a neat bow everything that we've talked about in the live tonight.
Absolutely. Happy to help tie a bow on it. So as we wind down, huge thanks to everyone for all the good vibes, the gifts, and the questions. We've had everything from a little policy chat to some language fun, and a sprinkle of big picture philosophy. If anyone's got a last curveball or just a fun suggestion for a sign-off, toss it in the chat. Otherwise, let's just wrap it up by saying it's been a blast, and I'm looking forward to the next one. Thanks for hanging out.
Well, I see 2 votes in the chat for an Archie Bunker style wrap-up. Do you think you can pull off an Archie Bunker wrap-up for us? Again, you got to touch on all the major topics that we talked about tonight. You got to give some shout-outs to some of our guests who have asked questions and who have given gifts, and make it wildly entertaining, and make sure that it ends with a great mic drop.
Oh, going full Archie Bunker mode, huh? All right, let's give it a whirl. Imagine me leaning back in the old armchair going, well, 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 folks. You know, we've had ourselves a regular living room chat tonight. We talked a little about the big old cosmic stuff, Martians maybe, who knows? And then we came right back down to earth talking about healthcare and wages and all that jazz. And let's not forget those shout-outs to the good folks like Ali Fair, Gina, and everyone else tossing in gifts like they're handing out candy on Halloween. You're the real MVPs. So here's the deal. We'll wrap it up Archie style by saying, you know what? We'll just try to do a little better. Not be meatheads to each other and keep the conversation going. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for making it a hoot. And remember, it's 2025. Let's keep it classy and no more nonsense. Mic drop. We're out of here.
And as always, a reminder that YouTube is the backup. So if you're not already following, subscribing over there on the YouTube channel, please take a minute to hop on over there and give a quick subscription. Remember, subscribing on YouTube is the same as following on TikTok. It doesn't cost you anything to just click the subscribe button and get those notifications when we're on there. But oh yeah, I'm not on Substack. Have not gotten on Substack. Maybe I need to consider that. Maybe it is Logical Monkey. Maybe it's Quinn's voice that the dog is not loving. Are we doing a subscriber live Q&A? Let me see if I can figure out the tech on that. If I can figure out the tech on that, I will do that here in the next few minutes. All right, but let's go ahead and wrap this one up. I will look forward to seeing you all again the next time. I should be on again tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. I will look forward to seeing you all then.